here we go. Oh, come on. Please don't be slow. Oh, it is a wet qualifying session, so I did talk before the race. It is going to be a wet qualifying session, and looks like all the drivers have opted to go on the intermediates. Then this could spice things up, because intermediate condition. Well, it's only Q1, so if this rain stays with us in Q2 and Q3, could be very interesting. But it is Q1; it could dry up later in the qualifying session. But hopefully we get some good action. And looks like all the drivers then will have to go through the short circuit on the intermediate conditions. And we can see somebody coming out as hello everybody, welcome back to CRL for round 12 of the Hungarian Grand Prix. As you can see, it's raining, and judging by the drivers' reactions in the Discord server, this looks like this rain could stay with us for a very long time, which I hope it does, because it could spice up some really good entertainment here tonight. So welcome back, Strauss. He's missed a few races because as you all know, he's became a papa, as they say in the Netherlands and elsewhere, and he's the first man out exploring the wet Hungarian track. So let's see what the Dutchman could do then in these wet conditions. Looks like it's very well, could it, I don't know, maybe we could have to wait to see what happens later in the qualifying session. But we'll go on board with Strauss first then, as he's the first man out on the track. So welcome back Strauss, nice to see you back. 18 minutes of the Q1 session, as you can see, 16.5 minutes to go now. So Strauss out there, the first man out there, wasted no time in the garage then. I would love to know the weather conditions. Is it going to be dry throughout the whole qualifying session, or will it be dry? Will it be wet throughout the whole qualifying session, or dry in the race too? So just let me know if it's gonna be dry or wet. But this could spice things up. I've not seen a bit of rain for quite some time in CRL. I can't actually remember the last time we had rain. It was it Russia or Japan? They had a wet race. I wasn't here for Russia or Japan for personal reasons, but last time I remember a wet race or wet qualifying session, was it Austria? I actually don't know. But anyways, Strauss is on a lap then as he makes his way down into T1. Managed to get the car slowed down, hits the apex, but you need to keep off the curbs there. Gets on the power nice and slowly there, not spinning up the rears, so very smooth on the throttle. Coming down into turn 2, sorry. You can see him very cautious there. Short shifting his way through the corners, make sure he gets no wheel spin whatsoever, as the Dutchman then comes towards turn 4. 30.7, and he does not invalidate or touches the curb. Now turn 5, he drifts out wide. You don't want to touch that curb on entry. Maybe it's not a trouble in the wet compared to the dry, because you need to take it as close as you can without touching that curb. I think sector 2 is going to be the most difficult out of all of them, especially through here. If you can manage to get it nicely tight through here, then you can see what lap time he sets in the middle sector then. So here he is then. I don't know the corner names, I haven't done my research, should have done. It's a 3.4 in the middle sector from Papa Strauss, as the Williams in the background got a bit out of shape. Don't know who it was, but looks like he's still going on his lap then. So here is Strauss to the penultimate corner as he makes his way now to the final corner. This is the time they all have to set to beat Strauss, and let's see what he could do then in Q1. He makes his way towards the line, and it's going to be a 29.3 as the Williams rounds the final corner to start his flying lap. I thought so. It couldn't be that close to Strauss's lap because Strauss obviously started it very early. Indy and Jesus then do the middle sector. Next one to cross the line is the Ferrari or Alpha. Williams next to cross the line. He's going on his lap. The Haas driver is next to cross the line. Is that Het Bompier? There is Cartboy. Cartboy goes quickest with a 28.6, and Indy and Jesus takes a lot of curb through the right-hander, and now we've got yellow flags entering this last sector, so I wonder if somebody's made a mistake. Looks like they got away with it. So yellow flags is set to 1, and then that must be someone slowing down. AJ's in P2 with a 28.9. He's 3/10 away from Cartboy. And we've got a new driver, GTRD Manu in P2 with a 28.9. A few hundreds quicker than Cartboy. As Indian Jesus goes quickest with a 28.3. He's 3/10 quicker than Cartboy. So Indian Jesus then on the pace as the Red Bull driver in P3. So welcome GTRD Manu. I hope you're doing well, mate, and let's see what he could do in this qualifier session. Currently P3 out of 5 tyres being set. Danny Boy through turn 2. Giroux Vizor, I have no idea. It's 102.6. I think that's the best middle sector I've seen from somebody so far, as Farrell Fury slots in P3 with a 28.9 as more drivers start to set a flying lap then. So Giroux Vizor coming around the final corner. Got a podium in France last time, and let's see what he can do in Hungary as he makes his way towards the final corner. We've got a bit of traffic at the end of sector 1. Is that Alfa Romeo's? Giroux Vizor goes second place. Look at that, 200 separated Indian Jesus as Troye slots his Williams in P4 as the Haas driver comes across the line. Is that Cartboy? Yes, it's Cartboy that goes P2 with a 28.3. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the top 3, first, second and third. It's just unbelievable. As Ferg then at 27.6. Well, I can't say I'm surprised there, which I'm not. I know he's very good in the rain, and look, he's about 8/10 quicker than Indian Jesus in P2. Says Ferg then, looking very, very comfortable in that racing point. Yet to cross the line is Danny Boy. Here he comes then. He goes into P14 with a 29.8. Harvey Lee's on his out lap, rounds the final corner to start his fire lap. Nathan's still in the pit lane, so I wonder what he's going up to, as Papaya Strauss on the second flying lap has invalidated it, and he'll be depends if he wants to stay out even more. But it is Q1, so I wonder, it's going to be so interesting. What will the drivers do? What's their strategies in Q1? Will it get dry towards the end of the qualifier session, as both Renaults then on their out laps? We've got a ball with Harvey Lees in the McLaren. There he is then. Coming up to turn 5. It's a 30.3 in the first sector for Harvey. Doesn't take the curb there, which I don't think you want to do anyways. Through turn 6 we go. Drifts a bit out wide. Gets under power. Wheel spinning. Coming into turn 7 and turn 8. Use a curb on both entries. There's his teammate ahead of him. Turn 8. Use the curb here, which you normally do in the dry anyway. Turn 9. Use the curb again. Just be careful of the throttle. Through turn 10 we go. Now turn 11 as Ferg sets the fastest lap, as Harvey Lee's a clear corner cut from the McLaren driver. So looks like he'll have to go for it again, sadly for him. One board with Louis lad there. He's on his out lap. His teammate Very's on a flying lap coming towards the exit of turn 1. Danny Boy, I think he's just moved a position. He's gone to 13th place with a 29.1. Where's Krishna? There he is. There, we've got a ball with him first. Do turn 7 and 8 we go. Yellow flags. You don't want to get on the curbs and apply the throttle, because that would definitely send you into a spin. Turn 10. As now we come through turn 11. Oh, Krishna, you don't want to go flat out there, mate. And he's lucky to get away with that one. Could have put it in the wall and lost his front tyre, but thankfully he did not do that. Might give him the shakes a bit, but at least his car's still intact and hasn't lost any front wing either, so he could still continue, but he's going to be more careful than go flat out through that corner there, because that definitely cost him. 30.3 in the first sector from Harvey Lees. Let's see what that is compared to Ferg. 30.3. Ferg did a 31.9. So no, he didn't. 30.2. So I'm looking at the wrong sector. 30.2. So he's a tenth away from Ferg's time. And now we're coming through turn 11. Now through turn 12 we go. This is where he validated it, and this time he doesn't do it. And it's a 102.1 in the middle sector from Harvey Lees. Turn 13 we go. Carboy, second place with a 27.8. Indian Jesus P3 with a 27.9. Giroux Vizor in P4 with a 27.9. So the times are getting better and better as the drivers are finding more grip, as Indian Jesus goes quickest with a 27.4. Harvey Lees rounds the final corner. Where can he go? And he goes P3 on his second flying lap on a 27.6. So the times are tumbling down as the drivers getting used to the track. Strauss has moved up to 7th place ahead of his teammate Duval. 3:10 separates the two AlphaTauris. Troye in P9, and he's currently up on his time in the first sector. So let's see how he progresses on this flying lap as he makes his way towards turn 12. And his middle sector is going to be a 2.6. He's a 10th up, and Marcus just places Racing Point in P7 with a 28.1. AlphaTauri headed back in the pits. Is that Duval? I think it is Duval. No, it's not. It is Strauss. And Troye then makes his way around the final corner. We've got a Red Bull ahead of us, and that Red Bull, will he improve? No, he won't. And Troye moves himself in P9 ahead of Duval then. Moves out of the way, so he's going to cool off on this lap and go into the pits. You can see a Mercedes coming out of the pits. Is that Foul Fury? Yes, it is. The number 96 driver coming out of the pits currently in P14. His teammate's on a flying lap somewhere. There he is. There's his teammate. Currently hasn't set a lap time on the board. We're about to see a lap produced by Nathan Booth. 3rd place in the championship, coming towards turn 12, and somebody's just moved up a place. So that Duval's gone up to 2nd place. It's a 27.4 from the Frenchman, and we didn't get to see Nathan's middle sector. Well, I did anyway, so we're coming towards turn 14. Has a lock up into that corner, but won't affect him too much. As now we make our way through the final corner then. Very difficult, tricky conditions. I hope it stays like this for Q2 and Q3, because that really could spice up the grid. As Nathan then, oh, it's not a good lap time, and he will be in P15 sadly for him. So his first flying lap, he could definitely improve on his second flyer lap. I was just wondering, AJ down in P17 as well. Is he struggling just a tad? Steiny down in P18, Danny Boy in P19. 4/10 up though in the first sector, so keep an eye on him. Krishna 9/10 up, so keep an eye on him, but those 9/10 up will probably stay in the 29s. If he can find more time in that last sector, we'll get him in the 28s along with the others. So here he is then, Krishna coming around the final corner. Let's see what he can do. It's a 28.7, so a big improvement from Krishna, and he moves himself in P15 ahead of Nathan Booth. Done 3 laps on those set of tyres. I don't see anybody on the brand new set except Het Bompje, GTRD Manu, and just those two. So if they continue with doing laps on these tyres, I don't know, could it still rain in Q2 and Q3, saving those tyres up? Because look at that, 5 laps from Cartboy, 3 laps from everybody else, and 2 laps as well. Nathan has improved in the middle sector by 6/10, so that's a definitely good improvement from him. And the Alfa Romeo has just crossed the line, and that was Danny Boy, I think, up into P13. The McLaren driver's about to cross the line, and it's P1 from Harvey Lees. It's a 27.2. He goes 2/10 quicker than Indian Jesus. Nathan sliding through the final corner. Here he is then across the line, and it's going to be a 28.0, and that is P9 from the Mercedes driver. So Harvey Lees is currently quickest with a 27.2. Interesting then. Where's the others? Very in P6 on a good time with a 27.7, and somebody's just moved up a place. Is that Mark? Yes, it is. It's P6 for Mark. Very has validated it, but I think he's going to come back to the pits anyway with the lack of fuel. His teammate is coming to the first corner on his 3rd flying lap. AJ 3/10 down, so I think he's just backed out and made a mistake through sector 1. Danny Boy, oh, he's done 5 laps on those set of tyres, so I wonder if they're starting to come to an end. But saying that though, he has improved in the middle sector just though, as Foul Fury up into P14 with a 28.3 on those 3 lap old intermediate tyres. Het Bompje needs to improve on the time on the 28.5. Back to Foul Fury, on board with him, was on board with Danny Boy, won't we? He's in the pits, is Danny Boy. Here's Steiny currently not on a lap time, he's validated that lap. Krishna on a lap time, he's on his 4th flyer lap, is Krishna. Het Bompje is on a brand new set of the intermediate tyres. Could that be costly? If you only get 3 sets of intermediates, and he's currently a few hundreds down in the first sector. Yeah, like I said, you only get 3 sets of intermediate tyres. So if he does continue to raid a Q2 and Q3, that could be costly. Oh, Het Bompje then having a massive tank slapper, but saves the car. As now he makes his way towards turn 11. Het Bompje has good qualifiers, but he's currently down to P17, whereas his teammate sat comfortably in P5, and I don't think 2/10 is quick enough to get himself into Q2. Ferg P2, 27.3, a tenth behind Harvey Lees, well, just below a tenth, it must be said. Mercedes driver coming around the final corner, is that Foul Fury? We don't know, he hasn't improved. Yes, it is Foul Fury, he's got up to P12. Here comes Het Bompje and P14 from the Dutchman. Now AJ, the championship protagonist, currently struggling down to P16. And this is not what he wants at all in a championship fight. Sat down to P16. There's 3 minutes left to go in this session. Can he improve? Steiny then, almost losing it in turn 11. Now coming through turn 12 we go. His middle sector, almost loses it on the curb, and he's 7 tenths up. So that looks like an improvement, but is it enough to get himself into Q2? Whereas Krishna in the pits, Danny Boy and Iceroll Knight on their outlaps. Troye's on his outlap too, he's on the cusp of elimination. And here he is then, Steiny as Nathan, a much better lap from him. 3rd place, 27.3. Here comes Steiny, then across the line he goes, and it's a 28.1. Big improvement from Steiny, it's a 28.1 in P11 ahead of Louis Ladd, who's invalidated his lap time, and will have to come into the pits because he is running out of fuel. Foul Fury will also have to come into the pits. Strauss is in the wall! Strauss is in the wall, and in the first sector he improved by 7 tenths. Now, will he make it? Yes, he will make it back to the pits, but will there be enough time? No, he won't. He's in the first corner. He's spun to the first corner, and that's qualifying done. His qualifying is done. If anybody else improves, Het Bompje across the line, P12. As Troye, it all depends on, well, not all, it all depends on those guys behind. Danny Boy is the first corner. AJ is down in the first sector by 2 tenths as he struggles through turn 4. Troye is on a lap as well. So Strauss then was on a brand new set of the intermediate tyres, and that looks like his qualifying's done. He can only pray if those guys behind him can't improve, but I think Troye is improving slightly. And Troye then, if he has enough fuel in the car, can go for another lap. And it's safe to say he's improving, but he needs to find a few more hundreds to ensure his safety into Q3, because AJ there didn't see his middle sector. Danny Boy improved in the first sector. Iceroll Knight is slightly down in the middle sector. We'll go on board with him first. We'll go on board with his teammate afterwards. And there he is then, as he makes his way across the line. What's it going to be? P16, P17 behind his teammate. And Strauss, my friend, on your return, has sadly been knocked out. AJ, it's not enough. He's backed out. AJ has been knocked out of Q1. Big shocker. Well, I must say that is really disappointing from CRL AJ. In a championship fight, in 3rd place. Oh, that McLaren is underneath the track. That's a big shame. Both Alfa Romeos, yep, are knocked out. Unless Danny Boy on this last lap can improve. Where's Krishna? There he is. What's he going to be in the first sector? 1800s down in the first sector, and he's invalidated it. Q1 is over and he'll start in last place. But biggest shocker overall is AJ Wuhan down in P19. He's got to pray. Well, he knows it's going to be wet or dry in the race, but I don't know if it's going to be wet or dry. But for his sake, I hope it's dry for the race, because P19's got a lot of work to do. And somebody's just lost their front wing. That's a McLaren driver. Is that Steiny? It's Krishna, sorry. It's a Red Bull. We didn't see it, but Ferg snatched back first place ahead of Harvey Lees. We're just waiting. Is it Danny Boy we're waiting on? I think it is. Yes, he's improving in the middle sector. Can he get himself into Q2? Is it enough? Yes, it is enough. He continues on a good lap like this. Must make sure he don't invalidate or mess up. He has a slight twitch coming out of turn 14. Now to the final corner we go. Is it going to be enough to get himself into Q2? And it is. P13 from Danny Boy, so he's safe at the very last moment, it must be said. So your drivers that are knocked out is Louis Ladd, Strauss, Iceroll Knight, AJ Wuhan and Krishna. And I think it could be still raining in Q2 because it looks like the weather hasn't eased off, has it? So, and guess what? P3 goes to GTRD Manu. What happened to Ainimo? Is he? I wonder if he's still doing his exams or something, or is that Ainimo himself? But if this is a new driver, P3 GTRD Manu doing a good job so far in the Red Bull. Well, like I said, AJ's got a lot of work to do. So there it is then. Ferg, Harvey Lees, GTRD Manu, Nathan, Indian Jesus, Dual, Cartboy did a good job in P7, Mark in P8, Jamoon is a P9, very intense, he's out-qualified his teammate again, Steiny in P11, Steiny got himself out of Q1, so that's good from him. Het Bompia in P12, bearing in mind he did put on a brand new set of intermediates, so he'll have 2 left. Danny Boy, well, I think it's one or two left. Danny Boy P13, Farrell Fury P14, Troye P15, Louis Ladd P16, Strauss P17, ISO Knight P18, AJ Wuhan P19, and Krishna. So AJ then, if he was watching the stream, maybe he could join the party, talk to us, because he's not at Q1, who knows. I did set up a party with him because he was the easiest option out of all of them, so if he joins the party I could explain what happened or give us his thoughts, etc. What's he going to do in the race. 10 people watching, hope you're all doing well, and it is raining in Q2. So I think it's safe to say it'll be definitely a wet qualifier session. It's got to be surely a dry race because you only get 3 intermediates, 3 sets of intermediates. You're going to be really, really wise. Well, Q1, Q2, Q3, obviously you use a brand new set in Q2, but do you get a spare one for the race? Or will it be wet conditions, like full on wet conditions for the wet tyres to come out? Who knows, but nobody's told me anything so far, unless they've tagged me in a Discord server. I'm not seen it, so I'll go check that now. But here comes the Ferrari out of the track then, out of the pits to come onto the track. Good luck for everybody in the race. So we'll go on board with that Ferrari. Danny Boy's out of the track. In fact, Mark's Ferg's the first one to come out of the pits, so there he is now in P6 in the racing point. Our championship leader, he came second in France, lost the lead on the last lap to AJ, and AJ got knocked out of Q1. He says he likes Hungary. So does Harvey Lees, because I believe Harvey set the pole time last year, but that was in the dry. This time it's in the wet. We've got more drivers coming out for their flying laps in Q2. We'll go check the comment before it starts. So, Donkey Bell to our boy Het Bompia for telling me that it's going to be dry at the start of the race and wet towards the end. So Donkey Bell, Het Bompia, and fail success. Here he is then, third, coming around the final corner to start his first flying lap. First place in Q1, can he do it again in Q2? Alfa Romeo behind him, that's Danny Boy, the only Alfa Romeo left in this qualifying session due to his teammate getting knocked out. We've got others starting their flying lap too. Renault's on a lap as well. I think it's going to be, yeah, it's the only Renault left in this qualifying session. Williams on his flying lap, that's Troye. Red Bull about to start his flying lap, and that's going to be GTRD Manu. 30.1 in the first set. So it looks like Ferg, we're going on board with Ferg to see his confidence and skills in the wet conditions, because I know he likes the wet and I know he likes Hungary. So both combined, it's a dangerous man to be contended with. Yeah, you can see him picking up the throttle rather early than everybody else. I'm more confident in the brakes and turning in, no hesitation whatsoever. Gets on the throttle nicely without any wheel spin. Coming towards turn 12, takes the curve on the right, uses the curve on the exit. 101.8, that's a good middle sector from Ferg. Locks up into turn 13, but that's natural. And if you want advice, no ABS is rather useful in the wet conditions because it slows you down easily and quickly. And coming towards the final corner is Ferg. I haven't seen a mistake on this lap, so this should be perfect from him. It's a 26.9. He's already 0.3 quicker than his Q1 time. So next across the line is a stampede of cars, which is Danny Boy, goes P2. Yeah, a long way off, so he must have definitely made a mistake. His Very goes P2. And the Ferrari behind us doesn't go anywhere. I think he's starting his flying lap. That's Indian Jesus because Jeroen Visser's in the pits. Where's Harvey Lees? There he is, purple first sector. Head bump here on his out lap, almost losing the car. Kart Boy's on his flying lap. There's Indian Jesus then. You can see a massive wheel spin from him. We've got the Red Bull about to cross the line. That is GTR Manu, but GTRD Manu has invalidated it, and he's going to go for a second lap on the same set of the intermediate conditions then. So next I believe is Harvey Lees, or is it Steiny? No, it's definitely Harvey Lees because we saw him. As looks like Aveno's made a mistake, has he? Yes, he has. Aveno is off the track, and that's Very. He'll recover. Hopefully he hasn't got any front wing damage. I didn't see him hit the wall. Maybe he's just had that half spin and saved it. The next lap invalidated it, it must be said, because he has cut the whole track. You don't want to be doing that. Harvey Lees, it's P2 from him. It's a 27.6. Not the best time he's done so far in the qualifying session. He did go quicker in Q1. I think it was a 27.3. So there's room for improvement for Harvey Lees. Maybe he needs to get his confidence up. And Racing Point, is that Ferg coming across the line? And that must be, that's his not his teammate, because his teammate's still on the outlap. So has Ferg improved? Has hit Bob Pierce retired? Oh, that's a massive crash. That's where Sergio Perez crashed in 2015. Oh, he must have lost the car on the corner. He must have lost it on the curb, the outside curb at turn 13. That's a massive crash, and sadly he's upside down too. Oh dear, from Het Bompje. Remember that crash from Sergio Perez? He crashed there twice, but he didn't crash there. He crashed in the McLaren once, didn't he? As Manu crossed the line in P3. He crashed in the barriers in McLaren in his McLaren days in 2013. Then 2015, he was upside down further on the lap. He lost the rear end of the car in turn 12 and put it in the barriers. Then he lost it on the curb. Then it flipped him upside down. But Het Bompje has done the exact same thing. It's very easy to do that. Yeah, he must be very frustrated, as Double then. Improvement in the first sector compared to his first flying lap. Both avatars, one of them's knocked out, of course. It was Strauss. What could have Strauss done if he didn't make that mistake through turn 1? And Ferg goes quickest with a 26.8, but Duo goes half a second quicker on his second flying lap. And Cartboy's up to P3 at 27.8. So Cartboy yet again doing a stunning job. But we'll find out in the race who's running a wet setup and who's not. Maybe it's not too much difference because this track requires high downforce. So maybe you just have to change the anti-roll bars, etc., or the wings. Duo across the line, P3. Big improvement from the Frenchman. And if Het Bompje says if it's going to be dry towards the start of the race, they can start on whatever tyres they want. You can see quite a few invalidations there from the drivers. Jeroen Visser about to start his line. Where's Mark coming towards turn 14? So it is raining in Q2 and it's going to be dry in Q3. I mean in the start of the race, so they can start what tyres they want to, and that's preferably going to be the medium tyres. I think everybody's smart enough to go on the medium tyres. Mark's coming to us across the line, P3, so good time from the Racing Point driver from Italy. And Jeroen Visser, where is he? He's coming towards the first sector. Let's see what the Dutchman could set. It's going to be a 30.5 from the Dutchman. Not quite sure that's a purple first sector because I've seen better first sectors so far. Where's Nathan? Coming towards the first corner. What about his teammate towards turn 2? So keep an eye on Jeroen Visser then. If you race on pad, oh dear, somebody made a mistake, or is it just? I think they're just backing off. Yeah, I think that's Mark just backing off. I'm so glad we had this full map track because whoever makes a mistake, we can see it on the track if they're stationary. It's a 2.4 in the middle sector from Jeroen Visser, so it needs a bit of an improvement from him. But I think this lap will make it into the top 10 as it comes towards turn 14. Turn 15 we go then, so let's see what Jeroen Visser sets. And it's going to be a 27.9, so I think he's safe. I think P8 downwards needs improving, or P6. Let's just say that. I didn't know if Danny Boy improved in the first sector because I didn't really see it. But here's Nathan then. It's a 2.5 in the middle sector from him. I think that needs a slight improvement from him, but his teammate's about to cross the line first. There he is, and it's a 28.5. Goes up to P11. His teammate though, coming around the final corner, P4, so I think that's a good time and a safe time at least. Everybody in the pits keeping an eye on each other. Danny Boy, what's he doing? 2/10 up in the middle sector from him. Gets on the curb though, keeps it nice and tidy. And where's Very's on the out lap. You can see him then, the rear started to slide all over as he applies the throttle. Carboy up into P4, 27.6. Here comes Danny Boy, and this, I don't think, yep, it's in P10, so he's on the cusp. But guess what? 3,000s between Steiny and Danny Boy. So, oh, I thought Steiny made a mistake, but he's warming up his tyres. Choye's on an out lap. Who's on their flying laps then? So, the drivers are not safe. It's Steiny, Choye, Foul Fury, and Very. Sadly, Bompier has retired. Carboy, I did say good luck to him, so he needs to have bad luck. And Carboy has improved in the first sector. He's done 4 laps on those set of intermediate tyres. This is his 5th lap, so he's going to be strong as Carboy. Looks very confident in the rain. And Jeroen Visser just pops himself into 2nd place with a 27.5. Where's Nathan Booth? There he is. He's invalidated a lap. As we progress with Carboy, I think this will be his last flying lap before he goes into pits, because you can see in the bottom of your screen his indicator is starting to pop up, and he goes a 10th quicker in the middle sector, so he's done 4 laps on those set of medium intermediate tyres. Obviously the more laps you do the better, because I think it just provides more grip as you do more laps. Around the final corner he goes then, and his lap time will be P2, and Foul Fury has just got himself into P3. Now I wasn't expecting that. Carboy's into P2 and Foul Fury comfortably in P3, so good job from the Irish driver, ahead of Jeroen Visser by a 10th, so it's going to be strong. Harvey Lee's on his out lap, so he believes it's not safe. Indian Jesus is starting his flying lap. Mark's in the garage, Duval's on a lap. No, he's not, he's backed out of it. Nathan Booth has invalidated his lap time. Very in P10 on the cusp of elimination. Manu crosses the line and he puts himself in P7 and pushes Very out into P11. Where's Steiny on his 2nd out lap, because I believe he made a mistake on his first one. Very then not on a lap. Dearborn has backed out of it, and I think that's qualifying over because his fuel's popping up. Now this is going to be nip and tuck. I don't believe he can get back in the pits and go for another flying lap. He needs to push, because I don't believe he can do another lap on that. That depends how much fuel he's got, but I don't think he could do another flying lap on that situation with the fuel. He's currently sat at P9. If he has got one more lap, then that'll be his flying. I think he's run out of fuel. Yes, he has. He's run out of fuel, so he has been knocked out of Q3, Q2. No, he's not just yet. Keep an eye on Nathan. McLaren driver is starting his flying lap, and Nathan goes 3/10 up in the first sector. Keep it nice and clean, Nathan. That's all you got to do. He's currently in P10, but we know Very is going to go for another lap. Where's Choye? Choye is going for another lap as well. Danny Boy's on his out lap. Steiny in. Oh, he almost lost it through turn 5, but keeps the car going, which is the most crucial thing. As GTRD Manu has gone up into second place with a 27.3. On board with Mercedes driver of Nathan Booth as Duval has retired, so all he's got to do is beg that he doesn't get knocked out of Q2. And Jeroen Visser has retired, so he believes he's safe. Cartboy's retired in P3. Harvey Lees is out there still. McLaren driver's going very slowly. That's either Steiny, who's currently sat down in P14. I think it is Steiny, so he's got one more lap, has Steiny. Nathan Booth makes his way across the line and he goes P9. Right, he needs to make sure this flying lap definitely puts himself into safety, otherwise he finds himself in a bit of trouble. What about the guys outside the top 10? Very 1/10 up in the middle sector, in the first sector, almost 2/10 up. And in the middle sector he goes, what's it going to be? 3/10 up, and that's going to get ahead of Nathan if he keeps this lap very nice and tidy. Troye, what's he doing? He's coming to the first corner. Danny Boy entering the first sector. Steiny, that's qualifying done for him, so he has been knocked out of Q2, sadly for him. Danny Boy's improved in it by 2/10. And very makes his way across the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be P4, so I dare say he's definitely safe as Harvey Lees goes up into P2. Farrell Fury is on a lap. No, he's not. He's run out of fuel. Mark 2/10 up in the middle sector. Where's Nathan? He's a 10th up in the first sector, and that's much better from Nathan. Much better. Keep it up. Don't mess up. Don't invalidate. Just keep it nice and steady from here on in. On board with the Racing Point as Farrell Fury has entered the pits. I do believe he's safe. Is he? Well, Jeroen Visser is the one to watch as Mark goes into P7. And here is Nathan then as he makes his way across the line. There you go. Much better. Much better. We got there in the end, didn't you, Nathan? So keep an eye on Troye. Danny Boy's in P11. What about Troye? Jeroen Visser, if he doesn't improve. And Jeroen Visser is safe because Troye will be into the pits, so Jeroen Visser can hold his breath. And the drivers are knocked out. It's Danny Boy, Duval, Troye, Steiny, the Het Bompier, who didn't see set a lap time. And I believe Harvey Lees took a brand new set of the intermediate conditions, so I think he's got one more set of inters left. Oh yeah, I Nemo. What happened to you, mate? How come you're not racing? Just out of curiosity. So on his debut, GTRD Manu is up into P6, so the Red Bull driver did a sterling job. Cartboy is in P7, so he's also doing a good job too. Berry's done a good job down in P5. Keep it on, Berry. I'll take a short break until Q3 starts. I think the drivers in Q3 are physically and mentally prepared now for the rain. They've experienced it in Q1 and Q2, so there should be no exceptions. There's about a maximum they've done about 12 laps as Carboy's retired. So looks like he doesn't want to participate in Q3. Might frustrate some people, being outside the top 10, wanted a chance, but maybe he ain't got enough. Maybe he's used all of his intermediates. That's the thing. Maybe he thought he would get an extra set, but he doesn't. So it's caught a few people out. Well, I say a few people, one person out so far. Maybe he thought he would get an extra set, but sadly, he's experienced that he can't. So he'll learn next time. I don't think there's another reason, unless he got a Q3 ban, of course. Maybe that could be the reason, but I'm just going to assume that he's run out of tyres. Alright then, so I don't really remember him doing much in France. I didn't think he made mistakes in France. Maybe, I think he made contact with the driver. Was it Krishna in turn 1? They both half spun. I can't exactly remember, but right then, so we've got some few people on their out laps. So the drivers know what the track feels like. They've been around it for quite a lot. They've done loads and loads of laps as well on the same set. So Q3 then, there should be no reason why they made mistakes unless the pressure really gets to them. Some of them have done their wet practice. And Q1 and Q2 was the practice for them too. So Q3 then, they should know the limits of the track, know where they can push and where they can't, know where they can carry an extra bit more speed, brake later. I think they've learned a lot from Q1 and Q2. So here we go then. Indian Jesus rounding the final corner. As he's about to start his flying lap. He takes a really odd route, it must be said. It just, I don't know, I can't explain it, but Indian Jesus takes much different lines to what I see from other people. He didn't take the whole track on the outside curb at the final corner. You don't have to take the outside curb, but you want to get as close to it as you can for the best exits. Maybe that's how he does it on his in-lap, out-lap, but you might want to suggest changing that line in the next flying lap he does. So I should keep an eye on the racing point, should I? Because he's closer up. There he's on his out lap. As Indian Jesus has invalidated it, so sad times from him. Now, in the dry and wet, that is a very difficult corner, it must be said. Not gonna lie, I struggle there too. People in the background, especially that woman there, why is she not wearing a coat? Must be a true racing fan there, not to bother with the rain. Who else on their lap? Very's on a lap, down in P6, there he is then, in the middle sector. Jeroen Visser's on his lap, I think he's just further up. No he's not, he's further behind. There he is then. What's he going to be in the middle sector? He's done a good job in Q1 and Q2, must be said. It's a 2.9 in the middle sector from Very. As the Ferrari gets out of shape coming out of turn 12, but saves the car at least. That was Jeroen Visser because he's behind Very. Further up is another Ferrari of Indian Jesus. There you can see, experimenting with the throttle, where you can get full traction. Now coming towards the last corner. And let's see what lap time Very does, and this is the lap they'll have to beat. It's a 28.5. Jeroen Visser next across the line is going to be a 28.1, 4/10 up massively, and next is across the line is a Mercedes, and that is going to be Nathan to start his flying lap. Both Mercedes has made it through, so good job to them. I think Foul Fury does like the rain because last time it was raining in CRL, he did finish on the podium, and sadly I didn't get to interview him. But if he does finish on the podium, if it will rain by the end of the race. If he does finish on the podium, then he really likes the wet conditions. Here is Mark then, on his first flying lap in the racing point. Where's his teammate? His teammate is in the garage as he makes his way towards turn 12. What's his first middle sector going to be like? At 1.9, I think it's going to be pole position because Very in the Renault did a 2.9, so he's a full second quick. He's a full second up on Very's time. Making his way around turn 12, not too much of a difficult corner, just need to rotate the car around there. Turn 13 can be a little bit difficult, especially the exit of it, just be careful with the throttle. You can see in the rear start to slide, as Very then, Mark is in P1 with a 27.3, a good lap time it must be said, as the McLaren driver Harvey Lees is P1 with a 27.0, it's 3/10 quicker than Mark. Where's the racing point of Ferg? He's in the pits, so he must be waiting. There he is, he's came out of the pits. Mark, Indian Jesus has got P3, sorry, with a 27.4 with he did a second lap on those inters due to invalidating the first lap, so good attempt as his teammate is in P4. There he is then, Nathan, second place in the championship, right in turn 13, turn 14 sorry, now coming through turn 15, the final corner. He hooked it all up in the last part of the qualifying session. What's it going to be? Oh, it's a long way up, it must be said. P5, so 28.1 from Nathan. It takes him time to get confident. He needs to do a lot of laps to be sure. I don't know, it's just, maybe he's not really confident when he comes out on a brand new set. I don't know. It usually comes later when it, I don't know, maybe he just needs to find more confidence. Just believe in himself more. The car's capable of going faster in the wet. Coming around the final corner, and then it's the Red Bull on his debut. What's it going to be? A 27.1, he goes P2. Good lap time from GTRD Manu. Indian Jesus has evaluated it, but he'll be headed off to the pits, so it doesn't matter anyway. Nathan, it says he's 3/10 up in the first sector, so he's on an improvement, and he's confident to use the curb on the outside. Usually that'd be a risk using the curb on the outside because it will, well, make you spin off. Middle sector is a 2.1. That's 2/10 slower than what Mark did as he locks up into turn 13. Now coming into turn 14. Where's Ferg? There he is then. Out of turn 1 he goes. Nathan makes his way towards the final corner. What lap time is it going to be from him? Is it going to be 27.4, goes up into P4? Has he got enough fuel to do another lap time? I think he will. I think he has, because his light is not flashing. So when he comes to the pits to go on I don't think anyone has got any brand new intermediate tyres left. They had to be smart about how they use their tyres in Q1, Q2 and Q3. It must be said, if you made a lot of mistakes, there's a chance that you'll be using your tyres from Q2. Anyways, you only get 3 sets of inches. 1.5 in the middle sector. That's a very decent middle sector, and that could be on pole position if he doesn't make any mistakes for the rest of the lap. So Ferg shaping up nicely to be on the first row of the grid ahead of Harvey Lees. Look how confident he is on the throttle, the way he's turning in, etc. He's just very confident. He just believes and trusts the car, everything he does, and he comes across the line now. It's a 26.5, baby. Look at that. Half a second quicker than Harvey Lees. It's a very good lap time as Foul Fury then makes his way through turn 2. He likes the wet conditions, doesn't he, Foul Fury? Saying that though, he almost made a mistake coming out of turn 3. Looks like he's getting a lot of wheel spin as well. It's a 30.7 in the first sector from him. What about Nathan? Where's his teammate? His teammate's coming across the line and he stays in P5. I don't know if he's improved, but has he got enough fuel in the car to go for another run? Some people did fuel their car to go 5 laps. I wonder if the tyres start to get better and the wear and the fuel starts to go down. You want to do more than like 2 laps on the interiors, because that's the way to go in these conditions. In any conditions in the wet, you always want to do more than 2 laps on the inters or wets, but obviously not on the dry tyres. On the dry tyres, you only want, the best you could do is 1 lap on them, the absolute peak of performance. But when it comes to the wets, you could do more laps on them. I don't know what it is, I don't know how to describe it, but it's Power Fury then coming around the line. It's a P8 for him. It's a 28.1. There's he's 4/10 up in the first sector, so big improvement from him as Ferg goes quickest, baby. Look at that. That's a mighty middle sector from Nathan. 4/10 up is a 1.6. I think he matched Ferg on his flying lap. So if Nathan keeps this up, keeps it nice and calm, could we see him on the front row? If not, pole position. Now making his way through the final corner, must keep calm, he knows he's 4/10 up. No, Nathan, come on, keep it nice and tidy. And he goes P2, it's a 26.7, and he's 6/10 up in the middle sector. Harvey Lees is on his out lap, and I dare say He's only got 2 laps to do a flying, well, 2 runs I should say. Here comes GTR Manu, who has improved in the middle sector. And there he's got up to P5 in the Renault. And let's see what the Red Bull driver could do then. He comes across the line now, and he goes P3. He's on the second row with Harvey Lees as Harvey makes his way towards the first corner. Where's Mark? He's not on laps. Indeed, Jesus has invalidated it. Jeroen Visser makes his way towards the end of the middle sector. It's a 101.7. That's 1/10 slower than what Nathan did. So, Jeroen Visser. What's happened to Manu? Did he just retire on the track or did he crash? I think he was retired on the track because I don't see any stationary cars. As Ferg goes quickest, no, that's the same lap time. Or is it the same lap time? Maybe he's just matched it. Jeroen Visser comes across the line. It's a 27.1 and he goes up into P5. Very has not improved in the first sector. Here comes Mark on his last flying lap. So is Indian Jesus and Foul Fury coming towards the first sector. Where's Nathan? He's a 10th up in the middle sector. As he makes his way around the final corner, where can he go? Oh, I think he made a big mistake in that last sector. He's 2/10 down. There's Harvey Lees. He's slightly down in the middle sector. When he crosses the line, that will be his last flying lap. And he goes P4, stays in P4. Jeroen Visser, a 10th down in the first sector. Very entering the first corner. Indian Jesus coming through turn 6. Foul Fury, 1/10 up in the middle sector. So keep an eye on him. Let's see what he could do. This will be his 3rd lap on the set of intermediate tyres. Maybe more because of Q2 and Q1. Now he makes his way towards the final corner. What can he do? It's going to be a 27.6 and he moves and stays in P9. Indian Jesus improving in the middle sector by 3/10. His teammate ran the final corner. Let's see what his teammate can do. His teammate will come across the line now and stays in P5. Indian Jesus crosses the line and goes P2. Well, that's a big surprise. Didn't expect that from Indian Jesus, but that's a good lap from him. As Ferg, that's Mark, sorry, Mark goes up into P6 ahead of Very. Very's on a lap still. 2/10 up in the middle sector. He's got Harvey Lees behind him, so Harvey Lees has been following his dirty air, so he hasn't timed that right, has he? Make his way towards the final corner now. And this lap time is going to be a 26.9. He goes into P5. Harvey Lees is up into 2nd place. That's a big improvement from the McLaren driver. I'm sure he'll be happy with that one. Good effort from Harvey, P2. Good job from him indeed. Very, very good job. Very impressed with his driving in the wet. Now, when it comes to the dry, we'll see what he can do. He must get the strategy right. So he pole sitter is CRL Ferg ahead of Harvey Lees in P2, Indian Jesus and an incredible P3 ahead of Nathan Booth. CRL Ferg in P1. CRL Ferg in P1 ahead of Harvey Lees, Indian Jesus in P3, Nathan P4, GTRD Manu in P5 ahead of Very, CRL Mark in P7 ahead of Jeroen Visser, Foul Fury, Carboy in P10. Was set for an amazing race. Indian Jesus on the 2nd row. Who'll get the slipstream down into turn 1. Nathan also on the 2nd row. Let's see what he could do. I know Ferg doesn't have the best of start on him, But anyways, I'll hop off the toilet, and this should be a very interesting race. And remember, everybody gets to start on what tyres they want to. It is the dry conditions for the race, and they can start what tyres they want to. As you can see for yourselves. Welcome back, everybody. So let's have a look at the tyre strategy. Anybody on the softs? Harvey Lee's on the soft compound tyres, and guess what? It's raining for the race. You can see a bit of rain on your screens there. It told me it's going to rain towards the end. This is going to be very interesting. Will it stay like this, or will it get wetter? We did have a wet qualifying session. Majority of the softs and majority of the mediums. Nobody on the hards, like I don't expect them to. Look at that. It's getting heavier. Wow, this could turn out to be exciting, interesting race. If it gets heavier, then they'll have to switch over to the inters. The more heavier it gets, the more vulnerable people are on the medium tyres, because the softs will have the grip in them to get ahead. This could be turning out to be amazing. And guess what? It's getting heavier and heavier. So, well, we'll find out what happens in the next upcoming laps. So will they have to switch over to the inters? And what's happening to Krishna? I think Krishna's slowing down to make the rain come heavier. So good tactic from him. The more he waits, the more it comes. And guess what? It does look like it's getting heavier. So for those who just joined, we did have a wet qualifying session. It was wet in Q1, Q2, Q3, intermediate conditions, and now it started to rain in this race. Right then, so 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. We are underway for round 12 of the Hungary GP, and it looks like Harvey Lees has got a much better start than CRL Ferg. Indian Jesus stuck in behind Ferg's slipstream. Will he go down the inside into turn 1? A virtual safety car has been deployed for some reason, and that's Danny Boy at the back, who's had a big crash and lost part of his front wing. So it is Harvey Lees leading Ferg ahead of Indian Jesus, Nathan in P4 ahead of Very, Mark in P6 ahead of the graphics have started to go away from us. I think Head Bumpy has made a good start as GTRD Manu almost hits the back of somebody, and the rain has stopped, so it only came for a brief moment. So people on the soft compound tyres, I dare say, made a mistake. If it doesn't get wetter, no, it's still there, the rain is still there. And Foul Fury and Danny Boy, something's happened to Foul Fury because he did start in the top 10. I wonder, will the rain get heavier, or will it stay like this? If it does stay like this, then I don't think we're gonna have much of a wet race. So Indy and Jesus then crucial to be P3 ahead of Nathan. He stayed where they started, Cartboy on the mediums in P8. Majority of the soft compound tyres, especially people outside the top 10, has hit Bonpier up into P12 already at the start of this race. So Harvey Lees then leads the Grand Prix ahead of CRL third. 1.2 seconds separates them from the top two. Indy and Jesus will come into third place. Will DRS be? Yeah, I think DRS will be enabled because it's still dry enough for DRS to be enabled. But people on the mediums will start to struggle, as you saw Cartboy having a tank slapper coming out of turn 1. So does it look like it's getting heavier? It does, doesn't it? But I'm just getting too excited at the moment. People on the soft tyres. As Harvey Lees has dropped out to third place. No, he's not. Sorry about that. I wondered, did something happen to him? But nothing happened to him. It's just the you know, graphics glitch, which annoys me, as AJ gets a 3-second time penalty on lap 3. No, lap 2, sorry, it's not lap 3. As you can see, Ferg is starting to struggle more and more on those medium compound tyres. Those brand new set of softs coming into massive players. Indy and GS, you don't want to be doing that, mate, because that'll ensure you a penalty for sure, because you just cut the corner and you exceed the track limit. So 2 warnings in 1 corner, it's not really good, is it? As you can see, Cartboy, the other medium runner, is starting to struggle and he's got Duval right behind him. So Cartboy then struggling for grip on those medium compound tyres. And now we're moving on to lap 3 of this race. Harvey leads by 1.2 seconds as he sets the fastest lap of the race. Indy and Jesus then trying to pass CRL Ferg. The rain's coming down even harder for the drivers as somebody spun through the last corner. That is Krishna who spun, and has he lost his front wing? I think he has, because I see a bit of debris left at the side of the track. That's where Sebastian Vettel spun. As look at that, Indy Jesus goes down the inside. There's a bit of front wing damage. That was from the Ferrari driver, and Indy and Jesus then has lost part of his front wing. Did he dive it down the inside? If he did, he's faced the consequences of that. As you can see then, the drivers are starting to struggle even more. Indy and Jesus started to slide, Nathan started to slide on those soft compound tyres. I feel for those hard runners, or medium runners. Good job nobody's on the hard, because they'll be definitely struggling. And guess what, Harvey Lee's in a prime position now. This could be his first win of the season. I can't be saying that on lap 3 because we've got a long way to go. But the more Indy and Jesus stays in front, the more time the guys lose behind on those soft compound tyres with the front wing. DRS is now disabled as we got yellow flags in middle sector 2. That's Strauss who spun. It's all starting to happen now, isn't it? I think it's time to box. No, he's staying out. Why did he not pit? That was a really bad decision from Harvey Lees not to pit. He's going to lose himself a lot of time. You can see Ferg really started to struggle. Why did he not pit? That was going to bite him in the end. He should have pitted. As Krishna gets a 3-second time penalty. Jeroen Visser stays out there. Onto a brand new set goes Ferg. And Harvey Lees then stayed out. He had a 4-second advantage, but I don't think that'll help. A few drivers did stay out there. Come on, Harvey, mate. You should have pitted. Now you've just cost yourself the race, it must be said. So Ferg then, the highest intermediate runner. Nathan in P7, 2.6 behind. He's got himself ahead of Indy Jesus, who had to change his front wing. Imagine if a safety car comes out now, that would really help Harvey's race. He started to struggle on those soft compound tyres. He had a big advantage as Jeroen Visser almost lost it. As Louis Ladd then really struggling on those medium compound tyres. It's not a big surprise. They should have pitted. I don't know why they stayed out there. It's a really bad decision. You can see then Ferg all over the back of Choye. Choye lets him go. Into the pits goes Harvey Lees. Oh. As Ferg makes his way past another dry runner. Yep, Harvey Lees has definitely cost himself this race. He should have pitted. He'll be regretting that he didn't pit. His one and only chance of winning this race, and now it's gone down the drain for him. He's going to get swamped by the field as Louis Lag gets a 3-second time penalty, 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And Harvey Lees, where does he rejoin? He rejoins in 3rd place, unless Duval will go for a move. Stanley's up into P5. Where did he start? He started in P14. So he's made himself 9 places already at the start of this race. He's at the back of Duval. Head Bompier told me it'll be dry for the start of the race and wet towards the end. Could it be the opposite way around? There he is then, the Dutchman in P7. I bet these drivers have really had enough of these wet conditions. It's been wet throughout the whole of Q1, Q2, Q3 and now the race. I bet these drivers are sick of these wet conditions, but Ferg has a good lead of 2.5 seconds ahead of Nathan. Harvey Lees in P3 ahead of Duval. Steiny in P5. Oh, Steiny, he's picked up a 3-second time penalty on lap 5 already, so he must make sure he doesn't pick up any more. In a really good position is Steiny. Both McLarens really need to sort out their strategy calls because they've not really had the best strategies, have they? Except Steiny and Monza, but both McLarens really need to sort themselves out with the strategy because that's what cost them the race. Duval under pressure from Steiny behind. Indian Jesus sat there in P6. Chirivas has had a miserable race down in P13, it must be said. I wonder what's happened to him. He's dropped a long way back. Yet he had to do a double stack because Indian Jesus was ahead of him, so that could be the reason why he's down in P13. He did start... No, he didn't. He started in P8, so he's definitely lost out a huge amount. As GTRD Manu has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Look at that. Duval is got two cars behind him, ready to pounce and overtake. We're all trying to get past Duval, who's hauling up the big train, but saying that though, it's not a big train because Head Bompier is not really at the back of Indian Jesus, so not too bad from Duval. It's very easy to defend. All you got to do is obliterate your ERS down the straight and save it. It's very easy to save ERS in the wet, so Duval can play tactically and try and stay in 4th place. You know that Steiny's got a 3-second time penalty down to P5. It's hard to overtake in the corners. Duval's just got to keep it nice and clean and just use that ERS down the straight because I don't know how good their straight line speed is. As we come down the straight now, as you can see then Duval using that ERS and overtake, and that's Steiny's downfall. He can't get past him at all. It's very hard to overtake in the corners, must be said, so it's very difficult. But bearing in mind though, strategy comes into play because I don't think these intermediates could go to the end. Maybe on the wet tyres, but the intermediates don't last as long as the wets, so I think one more stop will be coming into play and Steiny could do the overcut of Duval. Or do the undercut, but I don't think he'll do that because there's still loads of cars behind. What else we got going on? Chirivas down in P13. We've got GTRD Manu sat behind AJ for P11. Not much you could do down there in P11, sadly for him. Steiny then must be frustrated. And guess what? Steiny's almost lost it. He did lose it, but he saved it. And here comes Indian Jesus to go side by side now. Not really a place you expect to fight. And who's going to make it out? Will Steiny go back down the inside of Indian Jesus? Here he comes then. Under braking they go. Indian Jesus brakes later, has the momentum around the outside, and he claims P5. Took advantage of Steiny's mistakes, and Head Bompier will be the next one to try and get Steiny. But Steiny's big mistake, well, a little mistake, it wasn't too big, has cost him and has demoted him down to P6. He'll be very frustrated with that one. He's got Head Bompier and Co behind him. The gap at the front is 3.2 seconds between Nathan and Ferg. Harvey Lees, I have noticed he is closing down the gap slightly to Nathan, but it's not easy around this track. Never easy around this track, dry or wet, but Well, guess what? He's 7 tenths behind. Nathan must have made a mistake because the gap did say something about 1.92 seconds. I wonder, has Nathan made a mistake? It's gone down to 6 tenths. Nathan's made a big mistake somewhere in that first sector. And he's got Harvey Lees all over the back of him for company. So Nathan then, he has lost time to third because the gap was 2.3 seconds. Now it's 5 seconds. So Nathan is starting to struggle in second place. I wonder, did he pick up any front wing damage? Did he make a mistake and hit the wall? No, he hasn't lost his front wing, but he's definitely made a mistake because he's lost a lot of time to Ferg, and Harvey Lee's done in P3, so you've got to be careful not to make any more mistakes like that. I wonder, can Indian Jesus try and be the next one to try and overtake Double? But saying that though, he hasn't really caught up to Double, and he's pulled away a lot from Steiny. 1.8 now is the gap between Steiny and Indian Jesus, so he's managed to break DRS or slipstream, and can he close in on Double? It is very hard to overtake with this shot. ISO Knight in a very comfortable P10. He's looking very good, ISO Knight. Unlike his teammate down in P16, and Cartboy, yes, I wonder what happened to him because he had an amazing qualifying session, and he's currently down in P14. There's the battle between P2 and P3. Dealwall did a very good job to hold on to P4. Indian Jesus in P5, Steiny is in P6. Indian Jesus started to drift out a bit wide through turn 5, I've noticed, in the past few laps. Het Bompier, P7. Remember, he had a crash in Q2 and he's up there in P7, so he started P15 and he's in P7. So things are starting to go his way just a bit, but we've got a long way to go in this race. You can see then Harvey Lee's putting big pressure on the back of Nathan Booth. No DRS of course in these wet weather conditions, so it's going to be very difficult for him to overtake Nathan as we move on to lap 10 of this race. Judging by tier 2 and tier 3, it is dry, unlike tier 1. What a race so far, and Cone says Knight underrated. Talk about Cone, how come you're not racing, Cohen? Yeah, so tier 2 and tier 3 are dry, so good luck to people in tier 2 and tier 3, but tier 1 has just been dull and dark with the wet conditions. As Indian Jesus has caught up to Duval, so can he try and overtake the Frenchman for P4? He started in P3 and he did have front wing damage. He overtook Ferg. I don't know if he did a dive bomb attempt because he did smash into the side of Ferg, and that cost him dearly with a broken front wing. You can see Indian Jesus is more confident with the corners than Duval, it must be said. But obviously it is very hard to overtake at a straight, so Duval has that advantage down there. Steiny's still 1.7 behind. Indian Jesus then still waiting to make a move on Duval. You're not at home, Cohen, so just hope you're doing well, Cohen, wherever you are. I think you're at a football match, aren't you? Or football practice, so hope you have fun there, mate. I just realised nobody can set the fastest lap because that lap time was set in the dry, wasn't it? Who's got the fastest lap? Harvey Lees with a 19.8, and obviously he can't do a 19.8 in the inters, so Harvey Lees will hold on to the fastest lap throughout the whole race unless it gets dry. Come on, Jamie, what are you doing? There we go. Get back on there. There we go. Yeah. So, Indian Jesus then still stuck behind Duval. What can he do from here on in? Het Bompier is closing in on Steiny. Steiny's got to be careful not to make too many mistakes. He's got a 3-second time penalty on his name, dragging him down. ISO Knight has got a penalty too with AJ and GTRD Manu. I take it this could be a very boring race from here on in, as Harvey Lees has dropped away from Nathan. The gap is 1.3 now, unless he's just started to drop back and get out of that dirty ear of Nathan. Obviously Ferg's dominating at the front then. Strauss down in P18 has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Not the comeback he wants, but hopefully he can do better in the next race. Indeed, Jesus then still can't find a way to figure out how to get past Duel for P4. The Frenchman, though, must be said, after having a few bad luck in a few races, is back in P4 and up there, so he's doing a very good job if he can hold his ground against those guys behind. If Harvey Lees didn't put 1 lap later, what could have been? Mate, why'd you stay out 1 lap later? You don't want to be doing that too often, Indian Jesus, because you will get a penalty for that. Let me see if he picked up a warning. Yes, he did, lap 12. So he's got 1 warning to his name. Got to be careful not to pick 2 more up, otherwise he'll get a penalty. And he doesn't want that on his fight to Duel. Imagine if Indian Jesus did get past Ferg. I think he's getting wetter. I think we could be seeing wet weather tyres. You can see our race leader of P1 there, just in a world of his own. P2, P3, then comes Duel behind, 6.7 seconds behind Harvey Lees. We see Indian Jesus still closing in on Duel, but can't quite figure out how to make a move on him. And plus he's underfueled the car, so we can't be using Rich too many times, but it's very easy to save fuel in the wet weather conditions. Steiny still in P6 with Het Bompy in P7, Very in P8. Mark in P9 ahead of Iceron Knight. AJ in P11 ahead of GTRD Manu. Giroud Visa in P... Oh, Manu spawned! He spawned! And he'll be dropping down to P14 if you get back on the road. Come on, mate, spin the car around. What's he doing? Oh, I like how cautious he is. Must say he didn't reset the track, which he could have done. He waited for the 2 cars to go past. So big respect from GTRD Manu there, but he's retired from the session, sadly. So that's the second driver I've seen spin through turn 1. It was Strauss, and now it's GTRD Manu. And Indian Jesus then still can't get past Duel, making that AlphaTauri work on the straights there. I wonder who's got a wet setup, because I don't know, maybe they've definitely got a wet setup for this race. I didn't think it could be wet for the whole race and the whole qualifying session. There's no way. He's closing in all over the back, but he can't find a way past, can he? Unless he can try it here. He's very close. Can he make an overtake into turn 1? Is he close enough? Will he go down the inside? No, he doesn't. Will he look to force Duel into an error? And yellow flags who set to 2. That's a Haas driver who's spun. That's a Red Bull, and that's Krishna. Come on, Indian Jesus, just be careful, mate. You don't want to be making mistakes like that. I'm sorry to say, guys, but there's not much going on so far, so it's really hard to commentate with this race. It must be said, 21 laps to go in this race. Be more interested if I was on the track in the wet. I'm only kidding. But our first retirement goes to Manu, as Stanley then almost loses it in the same place he did a few laps ago. as you can see, Steiny started to close in. He was 1.7 behind, so he's managed to find some pace in that McLaren to close up on Indian Jesus then. We just got a big trail out there. There's just no way to get past. Nobody's threatening to get past except Indian Jesus down there in P5. If Indian Jesus was confident of the brakes, could he have gone down the inside of Duwell? And he almost lost it, cut out of turn 1. Saying that though, somebody's lost it. Who is it? Has it? Nobody. I think it's all clear now. Who's lost it through turn 1? Who's lost positions? Anybody out of shape? Out of their grid slots? I don't know, never mind. So my top 2 predictions are Ferg, Nathan and Harvey Lees. And Harvey Lees is 2 tenths behind Nathan, so the McLaren driver has closed in again on Nathan. But like I said, it's very difficult to overtake in these wet conditions. Surely there's a lot of standing water to go in the wet tyres. You just can't figure a way out to get past Caddy. What about Harvey Lees down in P3? Nope, he can't find a way to get past either. The 2 drivers from Manchester. Nope, too far behind. It says pit window is open. Will Harvey Lees do an undercut? But bearing in mind though, can these tyres go to the end? Maybe their tyres are good. Maybe the telemetry is just saying that to do a 2-stop, but I wonder how these tyres are coping. How long could the intermediates go for? How long can they last for the race? Oh, Mark! I thought he could have hit the back of Very then, the amount of closing speed he had on him, but managed to get the car slowed down in time. Foul Fury then. The last time we had a wet race was it Russia or Japan? I think it was Russia. My guy finished on the podium, but sadly he's down in P18. Danny Boy is in P17 and looks like he's not having a good race either. He spun on the first 5 seconds of the race, which why it caused a virtual safety car, so he had no chance, did he? It's Pepijn Strauss. What happened to him? He spun. I can't quite remember where he spun in the race, but lonely race down in P16. Choye, I'm not quite sure what happened to him. Maybe he's just not confident in the wet conditions. Louis Ladd, he stayed out. Both of them stayed out in the dry conditions. Louis Ladd and Choye, they stayed out 1 lap later than everybody else, which cost them a hell of a lot of time. Cartboy down in P13. I don't know if he's one of those drivers that stayed out there longer. Maybe he did because it says 10 laps on those tyres. And Jeroen did. So P12 downwards, P12 to P16 stayed out 1 lap later, which cost him a hell of a lot of time. So that's why you can see some drivers out of position there. AJ down there in P11, there's no way to get past, but he started P19, did AJ, and currently in P11. ISO Knight started in 19th place, or was it last? It was 18th place, sorry, and he's in 10th place, so good job from him, from the Canadian driver, doing a very good job. Come on Jamie, there we go. P9 then goes to Mark. Sadly, Mark had to double stack when it came to the wet conditions. He had no choice, so that's why he's down there in P9. Very doing a good job in P8. Bompia crashed in Q2 and he's currently running in 7th place, so 15th to 7th on a roller coaster ride. His teammate, he's lucky that his teammate stayed out 1 lap later, otherwise he had to double stack and he'd be further down the grid than he already is in P7. Steiny, we saw him made a mistake through this corner here, allowing Indian Jesus to get past. But Steiny started in 14th place and he's in 6th place at the moment, so doing a good job is Steiny. Indian Jesus made contact with Ferg when it was dry. Nobody's pitting, so yeah, I think these tyres could go to the end. Yeah, Indian Jesus made contact with CRL Ferg in turn 2 when it was dry, so that's why he's dropped further down in the field, P5. Dewell, where did he start, the Frenchman? He started down in P12 and he's in P4, so he must have had an amazing start and kept out of all the trouble. and he's currently finding himself in a good position in P4. He's had bad luck in the past few races as Dual, the two-time world champion of CRL, but he's currently sat in a good position in P4. And the guy behind him, well, the guy in 6th place got a 3-second time penalty. Harvey Lees, oh, Harvey. His strategy calls, he could be leading this race by now. He stayed out 1 lap later. That 1 lap later, the rain came pounding down, and that cost him in 3rd place. He'll be kicking himself for that one. He knows he could have done something about it. Nathan Booth, currently sat down in P2, started P4, and he kept out the drama between Indy Jesus and Ferg. I don't want to say undercut, well it is an undercut, but he undercutted Harvey Lees, and he's in P2. And Ferg, well, Ferg is fast as always in P1. Not much to say about Ferg other than he's dominating this Grand Prix, which could have been dominated by Harvey Lees if he didn't make that silly error. I think it'll be a close fight between Harvey and Ferg, must be said. We'll go back to P5 because that's the closest battle we see on the track right now. There it is then. The battle between Dual and Indy Jesus. I really hope it gets dry, because it proves that it's just not really a good race in the wet. Yeah, it got excited in the first few laps because we had a crossover between the dry period and the wet. If we could get dry about lap 23, 24, then that would do everybody favours. Lap 25, so it'll be a sprint race to the end on the soft compound tyres. Obviously they have loads of soft tyres because they didn't use any soft tyres in qualifying. Some drivers haven't used the soft tyres at all, they didn't even start it, like Ferg, people like Dual as well. They've got like 4 sets of softs waiting for them to be used, but obviously can't be used. The intermediate tyres have been used for Q1, Q2, Q3 and the race. It's just unbelievable. That's why they're not pitted. Can they go to the end of those tyres? I don't know. It's going to be a big ask. You've got 15 laps to go. I don't believe those tyres could go to the end. 30 laps on a set of inters. Maybe on the wets, but inter tyres, they grain a lot more than the wets. So, oh look. I thought it was starting to dry off a bit, but not. It was just the TV cam. Seems like Mark's getting close to Berry for P8. There they are, the two. Oh, it stopped raining, guys. Guess what? My wishes came true. It has stopped raining. But obviously, we're not going to pit now, because if you do that, then you're a very silly boy if you pit right now. Right then, so the drivers got their wish. And it's stopped raining. Who's going to be the first driver to blink? Obviously not going to pit this lap because it's still wet out there, but I think they're going to, Nathan and Harvey are going to follow what Ferg do. Maybe pit 1 lap earlier, but they can't mess this up. They really can't mess this up. We've got 15 laps to go in this race. What's going to happen in the next upcoming laps then? Yeah, nobody should pit this lap because as you can see, it's still very wet. Just give it like 5 laps, then it'll probably dry out. All 19 drivers are still circulating around this track. I think we're going to start to see some soft tyres in the mix very soon. Don't go anywhere. If you stayed with us, thank you very much. And it's been a very hard race, but we're about to see some action now, spicing up between these drivers. I bet Duval's very glad that the dry period's coming, because it looks like he's struggling in the wet. But that explains why nobody pitted on lap 16, 18, because they knew it was going to get drier. Obviously I have no weather telemetry here, so I've got to assume things. It's still very wet on the track, so we shouldn't see anybody in the pit. Hopefully it dries out very soon because I want some really good racing. Obviously these drivers will find it very frustrating being stuck in that train, but now they've got a chance to finally do something with the dry conditions coming through. When's the last time we had a wet race in Hungary? 2020. There wasn't really a wet race, but yeah it is because it was wet, but last time it properly rained was like 2014 and that got dry, didn't it? Sometimes it can be a really good race in Hungary when it's wet, but obviously it's been wet throughout the whole thing, so not much action has happened so far. Remember, it started off dry in 2014 in Hungary, didn't it? Then it got wet, then it got back to dry, and that's when Daniel Ricciardo won the race. Fernando Alonso in P2. Talk about that, is that Fernando Alonso's last podium? Hungarian Grand Prix 2014? Must be. Because he can't have got a podium in 2015 McLaren, 2016 McLaren, 27 McLaren, 2018 McLaren. So I think Hungary's his last podium, isn't it? Could he have won the race? Well, Daniel Ricciardo, with his late braking skills, outbroke him, defended both Mercedes. That race was very good in 2014. It was Rosberg on pole. Hamilton had an engine blow up in 2014. And Rosberg took pole. Magnussen crashed in the wall at turn 1. Button led the race, did he? I think he led some of the race. I remember Marcus Ericsson crashed at turn 4. He just lost the car and speared into the barriers. That 2014 season was an epic season. I'll go back to those days. That's the days I started to get properly into F1. I was always properly into F1, but when I started getting older, I was only about 11 or 12 back in 2014, so I didn't really understand racing too much, but I really got into it at that year. Yeah, they started wet and got dry. But I thought, yeah, it did. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. I do remember now. Yeah, it did start wet and get dry. They started wet, they got wetter, then they got dry, didn't it? I do remember, yeah. And that's where Rosberg had to do a 4-stop because Rosberg was called in to go onto a brand new set of tyres, and Hamilton was ordered to let Rosberg go, wasn't he? Could have Rosberg won the race? I don't know, because that was a long way back. I can't exactly remember what happened, but Hamilton was supposed to let Nico go, but he didn't. And Rosberg ended up finishing P4 for P1. Must be said though, Hamilton did spin on lap 1 to turn 2. But as soon as he came out of the pits, he just spun it, and he finished P3 in the end. I think he should have finished in P4 because he should have let Rosberg go, but he didn't. What else happened in the race? The corner where Sebastian Vettel spun in the last corner. Krishna brought back so many memories when he did that a few laps ago. Not getting drier, is it? Look at that, it's still damp out there despite it stopped raining. I really hope we don't have to end the race on the inters. I really want to see people, but Steiny has made a call to go to the pits. Now I think he can't. 19 laps on a set of inters is really extreme. I think he's struggling on tyre wear. And onto a brand new set of what's the tyres? Mediums. I think he had to pit because his tyre wear was coming to an end. So I think he was desperate to come to the pits, because I know when it comes to like lap 18, 19 on a set of inters, and yellow's just set to 1. That's probably Steiny. There he is then, coming out of the pit lane. I think whoever saved their tyres the best. This will be, yeah, this is bringing back some memories, because it happened in a race in Belgium, China, where you had to go very, very long stint on the inters and wait at the very last moment to go on the dries. If you didn't, you get a punch on the inters. So I think that I know Steiny's not dumb enough to come to the pits and do that. Valve Fury's into the pits as well. As you can see for yourself, it's not dry enough to go on the medium. Sorry, I think the tyres are coming to an end. They have to pit, because if they do inter medium, it's not going to work, is it? Might as well do inter mediums to avoid that extra stop. Here comes the Mercedes out the pits. He goes straight off the track. does Foul Fury. I think these tyres are coming to an end because 20 laps on a set of inters is rather extreme. So I think the tyres are starting to come to an end now because there's no way Steiny would have pitted like that. I think we might see a few punches from people. So this could be really interesting. So basically, the intermediates has a lifespan about 22 laps or something. That's why he's pitted, because I know those two drivers not dumb enough to go on the dry tyres at this stage. It's because the inter tyres are starting to come to an end on their stint. They're starting to really die. I'd love to know how much people are struggling by. I think that's why Duo will slow down, maybe enough to save his inters. If they go to the end on these tyres, then... Oh, it's puncher! I told you! There's a puncher on the left front! So that's why they pitted. The first puncher has came as Ferg's in the pits. Nathan Booth is coming to the pits. Harvey Lees is coming to the pits. So that's why they've stayed out there. Whoever's got the best tyre management could win this race. First puncher has came from Indian Jesus. That's why Steiny pitted. He didn't look after his tyres properly, and that's cost him. And guess what? We've got a whole train of cars. Whoever's got the best tyre life. Well, this could be really interesting. Everybody stayed out there. That's why I told you Steiny came in the pits. And Nathan's out there. What's happened to Ferg? Where's he? He's still in P1. Did he change his tyres? No, he didn't. Ferg did not change his tyres. Oh, yes, he did. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong graphic. He's got a brand new set of the intermediate tyres. Nathan's on the mediums. Where's Harvey Lees? He's on the intermediates. What's going on? What's going on? NDGs came out on the... Wow, this could be really interesting then. Where Nathan is on a brand new set of medium tyres. There he is. He's going to struggle. He's gone off the track. Mercedes has gone off the track. Got a whole train of cars on the intermediate tyres. Foul Fury though. Harvey Lee's got a brand new set of intermediates. He's rejoined behind that train of cars. And Ferg then stays in P1, so he's got a big advantage in first place. Dual in second place ahead of Het Bompier in P3. Berry in P4 ahead of Mark. And ISO Knight in P6 ahead of AJ. Jeruvas in P8. And there's Harvey Lees trying desperately. There's another car in the pits, and that is going to be Mark in the Racing Point. It's all about strategy in this race. Can Het Bompier get a podium? If he could take those tyres to the end. I don't think the dry period's coming, sadly. It has stopped raining. And Foul Fury has retired in the pit lane. Nathan is in the pits again, so Nathan then has made a very bad decision, and he's going to get a double stack as well. The championship protagonist in this race has lost it all. ISO Knight in P5, AJ's in P6. Might as well pit for another brand new set of intermediates because I don't think they're dry enough for the track to rubber in. Harvey Lees in P9. Can Het Bompier get his first podium of the season? That'll do him really good. Despite what happened in France, can he... I think his wheel disconnected. Can he get his first podium of the season? And his best result of the season? The Dutchman crashed in Q2 and he finds himself in P3. If the track stays like this and he doesn't wear his tyres too much, he could find himself in a really good position. It's basically like the Turkish Grand Prix as Berry's in the pits. So another driver on the inters to come into the pits, but we've got yellow flags in sector 1, and that's Danny Boy off the track. Right, Harvey Lees is in P8, Krishna is a lap down. If a safety car comes out, it'll really help those old intermediates. So we saw our first puncher cover BD Jesus. Bearing in mind he was sliding all over the place, so that explained why he got those. He got that puncher. Harvey Lees though on the back of Cartboy, he must be really frustrated. As yellow flags in sector 1. Is that Danny Boy again? Yes it is. He just has no luck whatsoever, does he? Unless he has a puncher. Yes he does, he has a puncher. He has a left rear puncher. That's the second driver getting a puncher. That's going to be really concerning for those guys on the intermediates, the old intermediates. So it's the second driver to get a puncher in this race. Any of these drivers could blister tyre because the intermediates are starting to come to an end. As AlphaTauri has spun through turn 1. Oh, we got yellow flags everywhere. Danny Boy spun again. So basically, whoever looked after the tyres the most will benefit from it. And various on the softs, that's not really the best thing to do because it's still damp out there. The dry tyres are not ready for the dry tyres. If we get punches on 22, 23 lap old tyres, as Cartboy is finally... Cartboy, has he got a puncher? Oh! That's... Oh, Cartboy, he has to do a whole lap. Oh dear, he has to do a whole lap on... Oh, that's a massive shame from Cartboy. That is really, really harsh. And on board with Harvey Lees as he's trying to get past Jeroen Visser. I bet everybody on the old intermediates is really, really tentative. As the tyres are starting to come to an end. ISO 9 into P4 from start of P18. Head Bompier. I bet he's really nursing that car around, that Haas car. Can he find himself a podium? Can he be dry enough to go on the softs and end the pain on those inters? Duel as well. ISO 9. AJ looks like he's struggling just a bit on those tyres. Could those tyres blister? Harvey Lees is desperate to get past Jeroen Visser and AJ. Really, really desperate. The second place man who started in second place. He fought those three. No, he fought those two last week, didn't he? Those three were in a battle for the top 4. And guess what? They battle for P5, P6, and P7. They stay out there for an extra lap. As that's a McLaren driver who's just spun coming out the final corner. That is Stadi, and I wonder if Stadi has picked up a puncher. No, he hasn't. He's on the dry tyres, so there's no way. He just lost the car. I'm keeping an eye on AJ because it looks like he's sliding a lot more compared to Jeroen Visser, and he could possibly... Looks like those tyres could blister at any moment. Had about 4 drivers pick up a puncher. As you can see then, really taking it easy as Strauss has retired as Jeroen Visser picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think this has been a strange race. Like, it's been a really odd, unusual race. I think, can Head Bompier find himself a podium? Well, all he's got to do is take it really nice and easily on those inters. Don't want to stress those tyres out at all. Jeroen Visser's in a really horrible place because he's behind AJ, picking up understeer, and that is a Renault. Nathan's in the pits again. I bet these drivers are desperate. Ferg's in the pits. And so is Duval. Is it time for the dry tyres? Head Bompier stays out. That's really interesting. ISO 9 into the pits he goes. Jeroen has been overtaken. Harvey Lee stays out on those intermediate tyres. Ferg's on the soft compound tyres. Head Bompier has decided to stay out on the track. He is leading the race. He's got 4 laps to go. Can he win the Hungarian Grand Prix? If those tyres can't warm up properly, Harvey Lees finds himself back in the podium places. Duel in P5 on the soft compound tyres. Jeroen Visser slides out of the pits and into the wall he goes but saves it. A yellow flags and that is Steiny who has retired. Has he crashed on the circuit? No, he hasn't. He's retired in the pit lane. To get yellow flags left, right and centre. This is really turning out to be a mega race. Who's going to win the race? It's going to be Harvey Lees. Will it be CRL Ferg? I think it's time. Yes, it is. DRS is enabled. It is time for the dry tyres. Looks so good to me. Het Bompier will come as the pits this lap. I don't think he'll continue. Can he get a podium? He will come as the pits this lap for sure. There's no way he's going to stay out on those tyres. It'll get drier and drier, and yes it will. He will come as the pits this lap. What about Harvey Lees down in P3? Harvey will come as the pits this lap. CRL Mark will head off into the pits as well. There he is then, the Racing Point driver in the pits. Duel, I think, will take back his podium place. It's worked out beautifully for Het Bompier. On the softs he goes, and out the pits he goes too. Can he get himself on the podium? Will I be speaking to a new driver? Come on, Het Bompier. Let's see if you can do it. Can Harvey Lees reclaim his podium? And there he is then. AJ has got past ISO Knight for P5. They're fighting as ISO Knight is still on the intermediates. And here comes Javu Bizza on the back of Knight. And he overtakes him for P6 of this race. Goes deep, but I don't think Knight will fight on those intermediate tyres. I dare say this race has been about tyre management and strategy. It's been an unpredictable race, but Ferg still finds himself leading at the front, but Harvey Lees in a P4, which he really frustrated about. Het Bompier, all he needs to do is keep it nice and clean. The guy who crashed in Q2 finds himself in P3. Indian Jesus versus Cartboy for P12. Cartboy stays ahead with DRS to his advantage. Nathan Booth right behind Louis Ladd. Louis Ladd still on those intermediates, and there he goes then. Lap 33 out of 35. 2 laps to go in this race. Just 2 laps to end this race. 10th place Nathan has, well, not really had a really good race, has he? Will I be speaking to a new driver in P3? Will Het Bompier get on the podium? Can he get on the podium? Harvey Lees will have to really push to try and gain on Het Bompier, as Mark has got past Knight. Why is Knight staying out there for? He's going to lose a lot of time, as we've got a spinner. That spinner is a Toro AlphaTauri, and that is Strauss. It's been a really interesting race, to say the least. All about tyre management and strategy. Het Bompier, can he get his first podium of the season? He had a miserable race in France. Yeah, I think his wheel disconnected, and that cost him a hell of a lot of points, being in the top 5. Come on, Het Bompier. 2 laps to go, mate. Don't risk anything. You've got the gap. You're not. Harvey Lees is not in DRS range. Keep it nice and clean. Bring it home. It'll be your first podium of the season, and your best result of the season as well. And there he has got past Knight. Knight has still not pitted. He's still on those intermediate tyres, limping around in that Williams. I think Nathan's the next driver to overtake him, but Nathan's quite a long way back. He's got 2 laps left. Can Knight stay in the top 10? Nathan is 18.5 seconds away. 17.9, 17.7. You know the gist, it's going down. Can Knight hold on for 2 laps to stay ahead of Nathan? I think Knight might have it against Cartboy, but if Nathan, I'm not quite sure. Harvey Lees has used a lot of his ERS to try and catch Het Bompier. The gap is 1.4, but once he gets to Het Bompier, he won't have any ERS. He's looking to try and make an amends after starting in P2 and looking for that race win, but sadly it hasn't gone his way. AJ recovering in P5 despite starting P19. He's currently in P5, so he'll be very happy with his result. The gap's 11.9, so he's gaining rapidly. Is Nathan Booth against ISO Knight. Last lap, Ferg has started the last lap. ISO Knight is crawling around on those intermediates as Het Bompier Well, goes to AJ. AJ has set the fastest lap of this race, and AJ right behind Harvey Lees. They used a lot of their EOS, hadn't they? Especially Harvey and Het Bompier. And Mark has set the fastest lap of the race, and here comes AJ. AJ has got a lot more EOS. Down the inside he goes into turn 2. They go side by side now, wheel to wheel. Harvey Lees has the edge, and he stays in front of AJ despite making a little bit of contact, but fair racing between the two. And I think that was AJ's last chance to make a move on Harvey Lees there. And Nathan has got past ISO Knight. He's retired in the pit lane. Why did you do that? That's the last lap, ISO Knight. Well, P15 is points. Why on earth did you retire for? It was the last lap. Anyways, here comes CRL Ferg around the final corner. Here he goes. He wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, the track he loves the most. CRL Duel, despite starting P14, will come home to finish in P2. Despite all the bad luck he's had in the past few races, he's got himself an amazing P2. Good job from the Frenchman. And Het Bompier will get his first podium of the season. Well done to Het Bompier. Absolutely amazing from him. Amazing drive, amazing time management, good strategy calls. He'll be very happy with that one. And ISO Knight, yep, has retired. As Strauss, Papa Strauss has spun through turn 5. And he won't give a damn about corner cutting. But all I've got to say is welcome back. And spins again. Strauss, who just became a father a few weeks ago, he rejoined back to the league after finding some time. Two cars have crashed on the start-finish straight. That's the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo. As Strauss will come around the final corner now to finish in P17. And he's crashed into the Mercedes too. Right, so the podium interviews then. Wars party. He's Het Bompier. Should we add? Oh, should we add dual? I work in a warehouse too. It's quite stressful. So classifications: Ferg in P1 ahead of Doable, Het Bompier in P3 ahead of Harvey Lees, AJ P5, Mark P6, Jeroen in P7, Very P8, Nathan P9, Cartboy P10 from starting P10, Indeed Jesus P11, Louis Lad P12, Troy A P13, Krishna and downwards retired. So your first time. Well, just to remind us all of you, can you put your voice to loud to be shared, please?
Yeah, I think I have it.
Beyond.
Here we go then. You all ready?
Yep.
We'll start with Het Bompier, a new podium sitter. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, what an amazing race from you. You started in P14, well, P15. You crashed in Q2. Tell us how your race went, because you were the best at the tyre management.
Well, my race started okay. I saw Alfa Romeo spun or crash right off the start. Could avoid that. Went into P13, I think, at the end of lap 1. And then I don't know exactly what happened in between, but suddenly at the end of the rain period I was in P6, I think. Maybe even P5 with Steiny pitting. Then of course Harvey and Nathan pitted, came up behind me. And then I just thought, well, if I can make these tires last, it will be a miracle. But then it dried up, so I went onto the softs and luckily ended up P3.
How does it feel? Your first podium after a difficult race in France and Spain. How does it feel to be on the podium?
Amazing, to be honest. It's like in quali I had the pace, but never in the race, and now I had a horrible qualifying, and then suddenly I ended up on the podium. Absolutely lovely.
What percentage were your tyres on? Because we saw people getting punctures on 22 lap old Inters.
Yeah, my tires were 78% at the end. When I saw the first one getting a puncture, my tires were still at like 60%. So I was amazed with how they already got punctures.
I think they pushed a bit too hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Were you a bit nervous? Were you a bit nervous on those intermediates when it started drying up? Did you thought in your mind that you would get a puncture?
Nah, no. I thought that I could even take them to the end. I just thought that the gods were on my side this race, and it happened to be that way. So.
Stuck in a big DRS trains at the first part of the race. How frustrating was that? Nobody could overtake each other.
Nah, it wasn't, because I knew my pace in the wets was horrible, and I just could keep up with Steiny and Very behind me. He was fast in qualifying, so I thought he would be faster than me in the race. But because I was in a DRS train, he couldn't overtake me, so that was just... It played into my hands.
Coming rejoining the place after your final pit stop, seeing Harvey Lees and AJ behind you, how nervous were you, or did you manage to keep cool?
Nah, I was very nervous because my setup was very wet based. So I knew I was gonna be very slow on the last laps. So I thought maybe that they could overtake me, and I was on 2 warnings as well, so 1 warning too many and it was just game over.
So you had 1 warning to spare before you got a penalty?
Yeah, exactly.
You did a very good job in that race, mate. It must be said.
Thank you.
And can you tell us what happened in France, if you don't mind?
I don't know myself.
Was it
just my steering wheel? My steering wheel just decided it didn't want me to get a good result, I think.
Did it disconnect?
Yeah, I pressed my buttons on the steering wheel, but it didn't do anything.
That seems like a very odd turn. I thought you wanted to do the last corner again. I just gotta say, mate, congratulations for P3. It makes up from France, doesn't it?
Yeah, and from Spain as well.
How much wet practice did you do, by the way?
For this race I was going into it with the least practice I've done ever. So, ended up P3. I should do this again.
What tyres did you start on in the race?
I started on the softs because I saw there was like 1 dry symbol and the rest was just rain. So I knew there would be a short time on a dry, so just go into the softs and make them work.
Congratulations, mate. Done a very good job. Nice to see you up here.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job, mate. And Dual in P2. Dual, good time management, good pace. You managed to keep Indian Jesus and Steiny behind you. How do you feel, mate, with P2?
Well, let me begin to dedicate this second place to Stroll's daughter, because I just want to celebrate her arrival. So welcome, Maeve, and I hope you enjoy this P2. Then, well, yeah, I think Chewil was in the city today. I managed to keep Jesus and Steiny like for 15, 16 laps, something like that. And they finally just gave up, I think, because I get some space, some time on them at the end of the stint. And yeah, I got just a quiet race, no one in front of me, just not doing mistake, just not taking this third warning, because I got 2. And yeah, that's it.
How hard were you pushing him? Because were you backing off to ensure that the tyres would make it last to the dry period, or were you just controlling your own pace? Because the guys behind you were all over the back of you, and I was just wondering if you were actually just struggling or just managing your pace and just keeping the tyres alive, ready for the dry period.
Yeah, in the final laps of the interstint, I was just keeping the car on the track. The tire was getting so warm. I think I pit like at 72%. So yeah, I was just keeping the car on the black thing and hope the dry period will come close enough. And thankfully it will.
This is all about tyre strategy and tyre management, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I managed my tire just like I needed, so I can't complain on that.
Would you say like it was a very odd, strange race?
For me, it just feels like practice, because I got no one in front of me like for the race, for the whole race. So it was just keeping the Ferrari and the McLaren at the beginning behind me, and then just keep the car on the track. That's it.
It's nice to see you back on the podium, Kevin. Congrats, mate.
I agree.
How does it make you feel being back on the podium?
Yeah, in 2 weeks I will come back.
We'll move on to Daniel. Daniel, mate, nothing much to say. You've just dominated the whole race. It's just incredible. Did you find that a very strange race, the way it went?
So I've been waiting for so long for this. Like, there's been so many tracks this season where I've been like, oh, this could rain. Never rains. And yeah, in practice, Jacob basically, AJ Wuhan did an unbelievable lap in the final practice of our, before we started the race, and it was a scary lap for the dry. And because of that, when I saw full wet in quali and like a couple laps wet at the start and pretty much full wet for the rest of the race, I was just unbelievably happy.
When you when you pitted onto those soft tyres, did you think it was the right choice? Could you go further on those inters?
So the weather forecast thing on our menus basically said it was going to just rain to the end, so I was surprised kind of mid first stint on the inters that it said it was going to dry up.
Yeah.
But because it said it was going to rain for so long on the menu, I knew that it would still be into weather for a long time, because when it's overcast after it's been raining, it really doesn't dry up quick at all, and it can throw quite a lot of people. So you see, when the rain stopped every lap, at the penultimate corner, I was checking Jeff and seeing what the weather situation was saying, and whatever he said was the quicker tyre I went with. So lap after lap it was inters, to the point where my inters were dead, and it was still into weather, so I'd thought I'd screw it, I'll come in, and I was assuming that Harvey and Nathan were just kind of looking at me every lap and just were going to pit when I pit, and that's exactly what happened. I think the game put Nathan on the medium tyres instead of the soft, so I felt really bad about it. But for him, because same thing happened to ISRL Knight, who's running a really good race at the end, put him on inters instead of softs. But yeah, anyway, did inters again, and then the same thing, just checking every lap to see when the changeover was. The second he says he doesn't know when there's a changeover, that's when I go and pit. And it turned out to be the right decision each time.
I know you were leading that whole race, but were you quite nervous about it as well?
No, the only bit I was nervous about was when it started getting dry, and the potential of making a bad strategy call. But when the race was progressing, the picture was quite clear what was going to happen, and Nathan and Harvey had great pace, but Nathan would be the same kind of delta for like 3-4 laps, and then would make a little mistake or something. So I knew that he would have Harvey for company. So in that respect, it was very, very chilled, very chilled race.
Your pace was amazing because when you pitted for a brand new set of inters, you managed to rejoin that whole gang of cars on the old inters and had a whole pit stop effectively. Unlike Nathan and Harvey Lee, sadly for them, had to fight through the whole traffic, and Harvey almost did it, but thankfully those inters did move out of the way, and they had to fight Head Bompier towards the end. Head Bompier kept his podium, but your pace was mega in the race, and when you got ahead of that train, I bet you were relieved, weren't you?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't want to pit until then anyway, so the plan was to just build up a pit stop gap on the rest of the fields, and so when I did come into when there's like 6 laps to go, I knew that even if I pit, like whatever I did was gonna be fine, because I was I'd stay ahead of that big group, and Nathan Harv would react to whatever I did anyway. So it was it was stressful at the beginning because someone really got quite early and I wasn't paying attention. I think my mom was trying to talk to me at some point, and I started the race on mediums, which wasn't ideal. But unfortunately for Harvey, he didn't pit at the right time at the beginning, so that really cost him.
Interesting, then. That was a really good race from my point of view. It was a bit boring in the middle stage, but it got really interesting towards the start and the end. I really hope we could see a big battle between you, Harvey and Nathan, but you just had the upper hand, and especially coming out of the pits, getting ahead of that big train. That was the big that was the main talking point for you. Yeah. So Head Bompier, just want to say, mate, despite having a few hard races, I know you've had bad luck. Your quality pace has been amazing, and finally, I just want to say you get what you deserve today.
Thank you, man.
And
to add to that as well, that lap you did in that practice session as well had me shook, man. Oh no, I was like, fuck's sake, like 2 you in the 12.9s.
I actually don't know how I put it off, because in time trial, I just today went into the 12s by 3,000s.
That's crazy.
And then suddenly in practice I did a 12.9.
Yeah, but you know how mad that is, yeah? Because in the practice sessions, you run out of ERS at the end of the lap. So, yeah, well done, mate. Yeah.
Also, Ferg, sorry to interrupt, but do you know at the start of the race when you started on those medium tyres, were you thinking it was a really bad choice to go on the mediums because it was getting wetter and wetter?
Of course. I mean, I honestly didn't realise the race was starting, so I went really up quite early, because usually you have like a minute to like sort your stuff out. So I was sort of chatting to the old mumsy. So yeah, it was really annoying to see bloody Indian Jesus, Nathan, and Harv on the softs, and I was on mediums. And obviously during the formation lap, it started to rain. Wasn't ideal. But staying ahead of Indian Jesus was important.
Can I ask you a question, Ferg?
Yes.
Down at turn 2, you and Indian Jesus came into contact. What happened exactly there? Because I only caught the aftermath of it.
I completely forgot about that. He just completely sent it. Like completely sent it on me. Like he had it was white arrows. He was behind me, and then suddenly he just dives up my inside red, smacks me to the side. I wasn't happy about it, but he gave me the position back, so it wasn't a problem.
And Dougal, respects for you for giving the race to Maeve. Is that how you say it, Maeve or Maeve?
Yes.
Yeah, Pepine's daughter, isn't it? Yeah, big respect for you for that one, mate.
No worries.
Representing your podium to Strauss, his daughter.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Congratulations to top three. Like, it's been, I'd say it's rather a strange race. Like, you had nearly the whole race being wet. Q1, Q2, Q3 being wet. It's just the amount of concentration on a hard track, especially in the wet, you had to put in. Is it really mentally draining for you, like physically as well? And now question goes to all of you. I'll start with Ferg.
What in the wet? Well, I can when you're in the pack, yes. But when you got the clear at the front and you can control everything, it's really calm, because like you get so used to pushing on dry, and you go so quick, and you can make it, especially in this track, it's quite easy to validate. So being at the front, you control your tyre temps, you don't have spray. It's quite easy to stay within the track limits because you're going lower slower, and I really enjoy finding traction in the wet. So it's for all of those reasons I just love wet.
Well, you have a different point of view. How tiring was it for you, like having a full qualifying session with wet and a full race with dry, almost full race with wet?
Meh.
Hey, Bompier, you were stuck in the DRS train. How did it feel for you having to concentrate and not making any mistakes, not getting another warning? How tiring is it for you to do that, the whole qualifying session? And you crashed as well, so
yeah,
that could have put you down.
Qualifying was cut short.
You crashed as well.
Yeah, exactly. That wasn't really concentrating there, but then in the race, it was just a bit relaxing, because Steiny also made a few mistakes, so it was just easy to keep up with him. So I could just focus on not getting any more warnings and saving tires, I suppose.
Well, thank you for this chat, lads. Like, nice to see a new face on the podium, and third, congratulations on the win, extending your championship lead. Another question, or to all three of you, how are you feeling for the next race? Is that USA?
Yes.
I don't like the track at all.
Ferg says he don't like the track. Hey, Bompier, what about you?
Do a lot of practice.
No, I don't like it, but
Duel?
should be good.
Oh, it's fine.
But yeah.
And you're extending your championship lead again, Ferg, and is your championship on the mind in the races, or did you just focus on the race itself?
Yeah, it's a bit here and there, but obviously at the end of the day, I've never wished anything bad on any of my opponents, because they're all my good friends. So, seeing Nathan crash out, yes, it helps with the championship, but for me, it's
You
more
feel bad
sad.
too.
It's more sad, like that that happened. But I become more sad than happy about something like that. I'd rather me and him be battling to the wire, P1, P2, crossing the line, a 10th ahead. Like that's a much better victory in my eyes.
Well, good luck for the next race. USA next round, Kota. It's going to be a really interesting race, especially in that third sector going side by side in those sequence of corners. Thank you all three of you for joining the party and talking. And Head Bompier, yet again, massive congratulations. You deserve this, and good luck for the next races. Duel also, and Ferg, and thank you all. See you all next week for round 13 of the Kota Grand Prix in USA.